Hey there, Lisa here. Welcome to my channel. I hope you'll join me in my love of crafting and DIYs and hit that subscribe button. So excited to be hosting the Tissue Paper Mystery Exchange this month with my wonderful co-host Karen at the Loft Home Decor. So if you haven't guessed already, this video is part of this collaboration. A group of us crafters got together, sent each other tissue paper, and then we are going to craft with it. So there will be a playlist that will be linked below the video, as well as any special mentions. Okay, now bear with me for a quick thank you, package openings, and special mentions, and then we'll get to crafting. I just want to thank everybody for being here, all the participants, all the subscribers and not subscribers yet who watch and follow and watch these collaborations. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. You make this so fun, and these challenges have forced me to get in front of the camera. So it's a little outside my comfort zone, but that's how we grow, right? So I just want to thank each and every one of you very, very much. I got my tissue paper for this challenge from Sarah at Sunflowers and DIYing. I will link her below. Okay, I'm a hot mess, but I got my package of tissue paper, and we're heading out to vacation, and I'm going on like 3 hours of sleep, and we have a huge road trip, and all I can think about is I can't leave this unopened. So super, super quick. Let's see what we got. Okay, so it's kind of hard to do this. There's my phone holder. But you know, I mean, when you're going on vacation, yeah, I mean, priorities. Ooh, I can't believe she got these in there. It's the tiniest little, cutest little package. Oh, polka dots. Ooh, those I haven't seen these ones. Aren't those flowers pretty? Stripes. Ooh, those make me think nautical. Ooh, okay. Oh, I'm so excited. Those are really fun. So now I can think on my 2-week vacation what to do with them when I get home. All right, bye. I thought this was from Sarah at Sunflowers and DIYing because that, and then I looked at the return address and I was like, that's not the right state. So, and then I saw this. And this is from Karen at the Loft Home Decor, who is my co-host. And we bonded over a love of this. So let's see what she sent me. You guys, 3 packages. And it's so funny because I sent you something too. Check your mail, and now I feel like I should have sent you more because 3 packages. You guys, I am not kidding. I went to 7 dollar stores in my area, and the total number of these that I was able to come up with was 5. So having 3 right here is just incredible. Thank you, Karen. I can't wait to craft with it. Okay, one last thing before we get to crafting. My tissue paper went to Jackie at Mamma Mia DIY. So be sure to watch her video and see what I sent her and what she did with it. I used 2 of the tissue papers I received to make a jewelry organizer for my daughter. So for this, I used some scrap wood, 2 wooden boxes. I got these at the Dollar Tree, a desk organizer also from the Dollar Tree, 2 butterfly cutouts, and then some Mod Podge. And then I also used tissue paper, the 2 tissue papers, the screw-in hooks, some spray paint, a little mirror, which is actually a candle holder, and then acrylic paint. Finally, I used 2 screws, a drill, hanging hardware, brushes, sanding file, lighter, iron, parchment paper, E6000, and hot glue to complete this project. All right, so the first thing I did was paint. You know, and I actually covered this board with acrylic paint, and I was initially going to attach stuff with wood glue. So as you see, I have some taped off sections there where I'm going to be attaching stuff, but I end up using E6000, so I probably didn't need to do that. And then, oh, I forgot to mention this on the supply list. I had this little plaque. These things I did spray paint, and in hindsight, I probably should have just done it all white with spray paint. It actually would have been quicker. but you could use spray paint, acrylic, whatever you got on hand. And then once I had everything painted white, I went to the application of the tissue paper. So I took the first tissue paper I was going to use, these polka dots, and again, I probably could have just tissue papered right over, but I did leave those bare. Hopefully the glue will stick just a little bit. So I applied the Mod Podge and then put the tissue paper down. I actually try different techniques that people use with Mod Podge in this video. Jury's still out on which one I like best. I think I do like it where you put the Mod Podge on and let it dry and then iron with the parchment paper, but like I said, jury's still out. But as you can see, I was just, these ones, or that one I just applied and then laid the tissue paper and then smoothed out as I went. For this plaque, I did put the Mod Podge on and then let it dry. Okay, so I had a heck of a time getting my tissue paper straight with the hole I cut in it. So there is lots of bubbles and wrinkles. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'm trying to show you here. So I did the parchment paper over it with the iron, and you know, it really does help. This little iron is super tiny and it doesn't get real hot. So I imagine with something that was hotter, it would work even better. And then on this one, this is the one that I had put the Mod Podge on, let it dry, and now I'm laying the tissue paper over and then the parchment paper and ironing. And this one does turn out really well. So these little boxes you can get at the Dollar Tree, they actually slip inside a larger box. So I just took them apart. I'll use those for something else. And I am just applying Mod Podge to the front, and I decided that I was going to use the same flowered tissue paper on these. So I applied Mod Podge to the front, and I did let it dry, and then I applied the tissue paper with the parchment paper on it with the little iron. I decided to add a little bit more color to it. My daughter loves color. Her favorite color is rainbow. So I added a couple of different pinks that I had in my stash and painted each butterfly a different pink color. And then I decided on the boxes looking through the hole, it was kind of boring to just see white. So I painted the back wall of both boxes this salmon color. And I'm real horrible about linking colors, but if you ever want to know what color something is, please just let me know. And then to add more to the butterflies, I went around and fussy cut, I think they call it, these. So I fussy cut out a few flowers, and then I took and applied them to the butterfly with Mod Podge. I just applied a little bit, put it down, and then put Mod Podge over it, all in one fell swoop there. No ironing, no drying, no nothing. Okay, now for the fun part. So I am cutting out the butterfly, not close, just enough so that I can burn this. And this process is really quite addicting. I really like it. I like the way it leaves the edges just a little bit burnt, and it's way quicker than sanding. Sometimes it doesn't burn real great, and you have to, use a little sander as well. But these boxes turned out really cool with it, and they just took that middle section out where that butterfly is, and yeah, I was pretty impressed. And so then I went ahead and burnt this plaque the same way, and also this. Now this has a beveled edge, and so it sort of burnt where I had gone over the edge with a little bit of Mod Podge, and it left almost a distressed look, and I ended up leaving it because I kind of liked it. I had considered painting these edges a bright color as well, but I kind of liked sort of the burnt, messy look, so I left it. And then there was a couple spots. Like I said, sometimes when you burn, there's just a few spots, and so I would just go sand those edges. And then it was time to put a very light coat of Mod Podge over everything I hadn't already put a top coat on. I meant to leave the desk organizer black because I had these black screw hooks, but I forgot and just got spray happy and spray painted it white. So I did go in and spray paint the hooks. I end up not doing enough of them, so I end up later adding some more hooks, but same process. And then I got this candle holder at the Dollar Tree. It's just a mirror candle holder. And I thought that this would work perfect to have a little mirror on it. So I took off the little foam feet, and then I added some E6000 in the middle, and then I put a little bit of hot glue around the edges, and then I glued it down to the plaque. And then I put something heavy on it. Not really heavy, just something to hold it. And then I attached the little boxes the same way. A little bit of E6000 in the middle. I like to spread it with a Q-tip and then hot glue. And I did that for both boxes. I then attached the plaque with the attached mirror on it to the board. Same process. And I did get it a little crooked, but don't tell. And then I just used hot glue on these little butterfly cutouts. I cut out a few inspirational words on the Cricut with Dollar Tree vinyl. And I forgot, if on the Cricut you gotta put that it doesn't cut real heavy, or it just really makes this jagged. But the font was jagged, so I was able to make this work and not have to recut it. So here I am marking where I want the hooks, and I did the side ones an inch in, and then I did 2 inches between them all. So I just go in with the drill and a drill bit and do some pilot holes, and then just screw in the hooks. So now it was time to attach this, and so I just marked where I was going to put the screws, and then I drilled some pilot holes. This gave me a headache, but anyways, I did just poke some holes with the driver, and then tried to get these screws in. Finally, my husband got home, and I knew he had one of these. I just couldn't find it, and used this little, I call it a Allen wrench screwdriver because it's shaped like an Allen wrench. Anyways, then it was time to apply my inspirational words. So I just applied those. I used these little keyholes for the hanging hardware, so I applied those, and here I am applying those 2 last hooks because I didn't do enough the first time around, and I ended up doing these ones a little bit bigger so she can hang some bigger stuff. And finally, I am touching up with a little bit of white paint the screws. And there you go, here it is. It was really fun. My husband and I hung it on the wall, and then I had her come in, and so I surprised her with it and put a little bit of her jewelry up before she saw it. So she was a happy kid. What do you think? Do you think this is something you would ever make? You know, you really could use it for makeup or hair stuff, and you could do any theme or design to match your decor. So I made this frame for my daughter's room when she was probably about the age of my son, 3 to 4, and I wanted something similar for my son. With the other tissue paper that I received, I made a father-son frame for my son's room. I used a wooden tray / frame. I'm not sure what to call it. I got it from Target in the $3 spot. 2 5x7 pieces of plexiglass, several craft sticks, some Scrabble tiles, 3 wooden squares, 2.5 inches, the tissue paper, and then paint. I just used acrylic and then antique wax. I also used brushes, sanding file, lighter, iron, parchment paper, hot glue gun, mini wood saw, and then baby wipes to complete the project. I always do a white background when I am decoupaging, so that's the first thing I did was I painted my 3 little squares white, and then I applied the tissue paper with Mod Podge. So I put the Mod Podge down with it still wet, applied the tissue paper, and I did that on 2 of the squares. And then on the final square, I did use Mod Podge and then let it dry. Like I said, I'm just trying to figure out which way I prefer decoupaging. So I'm just trying some different things. And then on both, I used the parchment paper and iron. I think it works just a little bit better when you let the Mod Podge dry and then add the tissue paper, but jury is still out. This is the one, I got something on it, but this is the one that I let it dry. So anyways, like I said, jury's still out. And then I took and trimmed the edges and used the lighter again to burn around the edges. And then I used a file to sand down the edges just a little bit. These ones turned out kind of jagged. And then I took my craft sticks and I took a bunch of them and painted them white because I'm going to decoupage them. And I cut strips. In hindsight, I wish I would have ran the tissue paper the other way so that they had short stripes down them. But you know what? It is what it is. And then once they had dried, Mod Podge, tissue paper, laid it down and smoothed it out with my fingers. Then I take these and burn around the edges as well. I take more craft sticks and cover them with antique wax. You would need 5 for the frame. I did extra, but you do need 5. Then I leave some plain, and these are going to go under the plexiglass to lift it up. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just using my little saw to trim down the edges. They aren't quite long enough for the 7-inch portion of the 5x7, so I had to make some little pieces to make up the difference. And then I take and glue them around the edges with the hot glue gun, and we're only going to do 3 of the 4 edges with these because you gotta leave the top open to get the picture down inside. And then I take another piece of plexiglass and glue it to the other side of the craft sticks. So the craft sticks are sandwiched between 2 pieces of the 5x7 plexiglass. It would probably be cheaper just to buy the 5x7 magnetic picture frames at the Dollar Tree, but I'm trying to craft from my stash and not buy new stuff. Next, I took the craft sticks that I had decoupaged and cut them down, same basic concept, and then I did need to sand just a little bit, but so I get those all cut to size to fit around the front of the frame to hide the wedge that we put between the 2 pieces of plexiglass, and I glue those on with hot glue as well. And then I really apologize. I end up going out of frame, but with the ones that I used antique wax on, I actually put around the edges going the other way to hide the mess on the edges there. So my corners didn't line up real great. So I took these little half beads, added some antique wax, and then I glued them to the corners. All right, to put all our pieces on, I got this at Target in the $3 spot, and I went around with some masking tape to protect the edges. And then with a baby wipe, I take acrylic paints and do each section a different color. So I just add the paint to the baby wipe and then wipe it on. It makes it so that you can kind of see the wood behind. So I do white on the top, and then I do a light blue. And then I do 2 other blues, getting darker as it goes down, all applied same way with a baby wipe. Once that was all done, I took some antique wax, and with a brush and a baby wipe, I couldn't decide which way I liked it better. I went in the cracks and crevices, and then I went around the edge of the frame, front, back, and sides. And then I just went across the front and applied quite a bit of antique wax to make it look pretty aged. And then I took my 3 squares. They were looking too new, so I took and aged those as well. And finally, we get to assemble it. So I took and glued on the 3 squares, and then the sun with the Scrabble tiles in it. And these were all just applied with the hot glue gun. And I glue down the frame section, and finally we glue the father. And I decided to do it not straight across because it was kind of a big space. So there it is. I was going to go get a picture made, but I didn't get time. So I just printed a picture off my printer so that I could show you how it just slips in there. And so you can see what it looks like with a picture. You do have to trim it down, so a full 5x7 will not fit because of the craft sticks that I put on the sides. It was a little bit hard to get the paper in there. I think with thicker photo paper, it'll slide right down in there. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear. Okay, so I had to make something with the tissue paper that Karen sent that started all of this. So I had bought this little house and these 2 little planters at Target quite some time ago. I'm looking to make a plant shelf in my kitchen at some point. And when you set them down in there, you can't read what they say. And so I wanted to create a riser for them. And these little pallets from the Dollar Tree just fit in there just perfect. So I took some Jenga blocks and hot glued them on the bottom so that it was just a little bit taller. It wasn't quite tall enough. And then I took and around the edge of the bottom portion, I traced around it and cut out sections of the tissue paper. I was going to fussy cut this and really get crazy, but I was running out of time. So I did do it this way. And I end up applying this twice. And first time I Mod Podged and let it dry. And for some reason, it just bubbled like heck. And I think it could be the metal. It could also be that package of tissue paper had gotten just a little bit wet. Or it could just be that it doesn't work as well on metal. So what I ended up doing was going back, recutting, and then I applied the Mod Podge, and with it still wet, I laid down the tissue paper and smoothed it out with my fingers. And then once I had it all applied the way I wanted and it had dried, I did take just a little bit of parchment paper and my iron for a couple spots that bubbled up. And I like it so much better. What do you guys think? It just needed something else. Did you know you can print on tissue paper? If you take a piece of tissue paper and attach it either with glue or double-sided tape, I've always used double-sided tape, to a piece of printer paper, you can run it through your inkjet printer and print on it. So I was playing with this, been working on affirmations with my daughter, and so I just typed out some affirmations and printed them on this tissue paper, and then I cut them down. I took some of these squares, painted them white, and then I used Mod Podge, then applied the tissue paper, and then once it had dried, I sanded the edges and used some self-adhesive magnets and glued them to the back, and they make little magnets. What do you guys think? One last quick peek at all of the projects that I did. What's your favorite? Do you think you'd make any of these? I'd love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment and let me know all your thoughts. If you like what you see today, I would love it if you help me grow my channel. The way you can do that is by liking, commenting, and subscribing and sharing with your friends. I am also on other forms of social media, Instagram, Facebook. I do have a blog that's horribly neglected, Pinterest, as well as TikTok. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I hope you enjoy the playlist, and I hope that you will subscribe.